פקוחות מבלי לראות את השמיים, מבלי לראות כחול של ים, ירוק של עץ, מבלי לשמוע מנגינות יפות כמו פעם, מבלי לראות את הדברים כמו שהם. ילדים קטנים, ילדים גדולים, ילדים טובים וילדים רעים. את יודעת אמא, כולנו ילדים של החיים. אני נושם, אני חבוק בזרועותיי, אני רואה בך בית חם ומשפחה, ואור בהיר בחלונות שאת פותחת. אני חופשי, אך אין לי מנוחה. ילדים קטנים, ילדים גדולים, ילדים טובים וילדים רעים. את יודעת אמא, כולנו ילדים של החיים. כולנו ילדים של החיים. מדבר על סוף הדרך, אבל אני יכול לשים לפחד קץ. עיניי פקוחות בשביל לראות את השמיים, בשביל לראות כחול של ים, ירוק של עץ. ילדים קטנים, ילדים גדלים, לילדים טובים וילדים רעים. יודעת אמא, כולנו ילדים של החיים.
Good evening, everybody. It is my pleasure to open the 2021 annual meeting of the BEKI Synagogue. The meeting is being recorded, and Rachel will do the technical support, and Sam will support me as well. We will have several presentations throughout the meeting, and I would like to start with the first one. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the great mayor of the city of New Haven, Justin Elicker.
Right, I guess that's you.
Hey everyone, we're actually at Ina and Jay's house here at an event, and just wanted to say a quick hi and also congratulate you on being back in in-person services, and to congratulate everyone for getting through a really tough year. Thanks for having me, the opportunity for me to be on, and good to see you all.
Thank you, Mayor.
See you soon.
And with that, I would like to say a few words to start the meeting. First of all, for those of you who are not very well versed in Hebrew songs, the first song that you heard was by the singer Arik Einstein, who's saying about how great it is to have you back home, which is exactly how I feel in the last few weeks, how great it is to have everybody back home. This has been a heck of a year. It's been a sad year for some of us who lost loved ones. It's been a very challenging one for a lot of us, suffering through the isolation, not being able to see family, kids, grandkids, be with friends. It was also an emotional year where we said goodbye to our rabbi of 28 years, John Jay. And I would like to say that there's great hope in the air. I really have a feeling that we're getting over. A lot of us are vaccinated and can take our masks off if we choose to do so. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who worked so hard throughout the whole pandemic to keep us together, to volunteer, to make sure that our home, our community, our people will emerge out of this pandemic as one. It was a lot of work by a lot of volunteers, and every single one of you knows who you are, and I'm not going to call out names. I just wanted to thank you all collectively. Our numbers in the daily minyan has been growing. Our numbers on Shabbat services have been growing. Our Kiddush is back, and I'm really, really hopeful, and I want to wish everybody a wonderful 2021 and 2022, great health and happiness. And with that, our first order of business is to present the slate of officers for the 2021-2022 board. And before I present the officers, I have to ask if there's anybody who would like to propose an alternate slate of officers. Man, I really hope somebody can volunteer to be the new president, but unless somebody raises a hand, and I don't see anybody that does, I guess, well, you guys are stuck with me. So before I present the officers, I would like to acknowledge two members of the board who are stepping off the board. I would like to say thank you to Jonathan Gordon, who served both on the executive committee and on the general board. Jonathan is stepping off the board to attend to his life's dream, which is to build his dream home. And we certainly hope that his departure from the board will be temporary. And as soon as the palace is complete, Jonathan will be back with us. I also would love to acknowledge Daryl Cooperstock, who after 30 years on the board is stepping off the board. And look, we said goodbye to Daryl many times. We said goodbye to Daryl and David collectively. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank Daryl and David, but Daryl, as she steps off the board for many, many, many years of service to BEKI. We wish them great health and happiness on the West Coast with their children and their grandchildren. And I hope that they don't forget us and come to visit us often. The new board, I will continue to be the president for the next year. My vice presidents are Mike Horowitz and Rachel Bashevkin. Our treasurer on the executive committee is Steve Rudolph, and our secretary on the executive committee is Donna Levine, who is also the chair of the finance committee. The person who holds the most coveted position in the synagogue, which is the immediate past president, is Harold Byrne. And because I volunteered to be one more year, Harold will have to serve another year on the executive committee. The two members who are stepping from the general board to the executive committee are David Levy and Rob Schronberger. Maury Akresh is our finance chair designee, and he is stepping off of the executive committee to the general board. Our house chair is Eric Dunsker. Joining the board this year is Jennifer Meyer. She will be an at-large member, as well as Rachel Greenberg because we don't have enough Rachels on the board. Mimi Glenn is the Sisterhood Liaison. Mark Oppenheimer is the Membership Liaison. Gadiel Robbins is the BEKI Religious School Liaison. Jay Sokolov is our Safety Chair. And Rachel Wiseman-Gerber is our religious, come on, the words escape me at the moment. But
Ritual committee.
Thank you very much, Chair. Evan Winner is our member. Sam Purdy, who will take part in tonight's presentation, is a member. Tamara Schechter is a member. And the last member of the General Board and a member of the Executive Committee is our Rabbi, Eric Woodward. And I would like to continue with passing the microphone to Jesse Palumbo to make a presentation on behalf of Sisterhood.
Thanks,
Jesse, the floor is
Yaron.
yours.
Yes. I'm Jessie Palumbo, BEKI Sisterhood Treasurer. And on behalf of Mimi Glenn and BEKI Sisterhood Board, I'm delighted to announce the following donations to support BEKI projects for this upcoming fiscal year. $500 has been allocated towards a special program that Principal Ina Silverman has planned for the BEKI Religious School. And Sisterhood has also donated $500 towards Adam Miller's plans for the improvement of the playground for our kiddies. And the extra good news is that through Sisterhood, Jim Stacy and Julie Cohen just donated an additional $1,000 for the playground too. So you'll know we'll be keeping our eyes on other projects and perhaps art committee. There'll be other things that we'll be making donations through this next fiscal year also. So don't hesitate to come up and talk to us. Now that we're able to attend shul in person, we're looking ahead at planning some interesting programs and seeing you shopping at the gift shop. We encourage you all to join Sisterhood to support our BEKI projects and to enjoy educational material provided by the Women's League of Conservative Judaism and their support of educating young rabbis and educators. And thank you. I look forward to seeing you all as part of Sisterhood. Thanks, Yaron.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so, so much. And thank you to the Sisterhood for being so generous and your donation to all these wonderful causes around BEKI.
You're welcome.
Next, I would like to introduce our Rabbi, Rabbi Eric Woodward.
Hi, it is so wonderful to be here. And Yaron, I'm so excited that you're on the board again. You know, it is June 21st, which means I have been here for 3 weeks, which, you know, it's not a long time, but it actually feels, oh, thank you. It's nice to see all of you this way. It's not a long time in terms of the calendar, but it actually does feel like a long time in terms of, I feel like I've had such a chance to get to know so many of you and connect, and I cannot wait to just keep doing this. It's just such a joy to talk to people and schmooze and daven together and be together. I just, we love it. And Catherine and I are just so over the moon. This Sunday when we left, our kids came up this weekend and we all left Sunday afternoon. Our kids started crying in the car saying, why can't we move to New Haven today? And I said, well, our stuff is still in Philadelphia. Like, we have to pack. But we are just so excited and so thrilled. And I just want to share, you know, I know this isn't a Devar Torah slot, but I do want to share one tiny bit of Torah. Today is June 21st. And June 21st, you know, not only does it mean I've been here for 3 weeks, June 21st, and not only, it's also the birthday of my mother-in-law, Zichron Livracha, but June 21st is also the summer solstice. It's the day that is the longest day of the year. And there's a little piece of Talmud about June 21st. We usually think of the winter solstice and Hanukkah. There's a lot of Jewish texts about that. But this date, there's a little piece of Talmud in Masechet Chagiga, which talks about a number of rabbis who were out and studying Merkavah mysticism, Maaseh Merkavah, this sort of very weird mystical approach to Judaism that is somewhat lost to us. And it tells us that suddenly the empty skies that were just full of sun were filled with clouds and were filled with these sort of mysterious angelic forms. And it's really a midrash, it's really a teaching in the Talmud here about the idea is that sometimes we have a clearing, sometimes we have a chance for hope when there is summer and there is sun and there is somewhat of an opening, and that we can fill that with our prayers, and that we can fill that with the rain of blessing. We can fill that with all sorts of good things. And so my blessing for us as we begin this next year at BEKI is that we can look at all the things that are opening, right? Both the opening of the synagogue and hopefully the opening of our hearts and our society in so many ways. And we can fill up our synagogue and our hearts and our lives with prayer and with blessing and with the rain of good fortune and love. And I am so excited to join with all of you in that project. And it is just really wonderful to see you. And I'm just looking through at all of your names just for 1 second. Just give me a moment, just appreciate all of you. Look at your names here on my Zoom gallery. And thank you all. And be well. And Mazal Tov on this wonderful year.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you very much. And it is a time for Torah. That's perfectly fine. So feel free to share your wisdom with us any day.
Thank you. It was only the Parshat Balak, would be the Parsha about all of us trying to go on the way to the Zoom meeting, trying to curse the meeting, but it doesn't work. Didn't work.
Good. Next, I would like to introduce Steve Rudolph, who is our treasurer, for a report about the state of the finance of the congregation.
While the past year was a tough year because of the pandemic, financially we did all right, mainly because we got a $53,000 PPP loan, which was forgiven by the government. This really helped, so we kept all our employees still working. The current dues are going to be, the dues for next year are going to be the same as this year, $1,950 for a family and $1,100 for a single. We don't see much difference in what we expect to spend, and we hope we'll be able to get the monies in from donations and from our dues. The only other thing I have to add is that we're down to about 110,000 or 120,000 of loans from the bank, which will be finished by 2024. I had said in the past 2023, but we just got a letter from the bank that our largest loan ends in 2024. Other than that, I want to thank everybody for making sure they get their dues in on time.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much. And thank you for all your hard work. Previous years were not as good. And to be able to navigate this ship through these uncertain financial times is a great task. And we all thank you very much for your hard work. Thank you. And next, I would like to introduce Sam Purdy, who will provide us with what we call the State of the Congregation Report, previously known as the Rabbi Report, but Sam, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate the nomination as the rabbi for the next 15 or so minutes. I think actually this was a bit of hazing, as I am the youngest member of the board of directors to my knowledge. But it will be a pleasure. It is a pleasure to get to share with you a little bit of the year that was here at our shul. Thanks to all of the committee chairs who shared reports that form the basis for this. I frankly learned a lot. I've learned quite a bit about the incredible children's programming the incredible return of Kiddush. There are many things that I personally have experienced programming. I got to learn a lot through this, through the process of preparing about the incredible work in committees that I'm less familiar with and look forward to becoming more familiar with as we sort of more return, thank you, Rachel, I see the chat, return to a bit more normalcy that many others have mentioned. But I actually want to start at risk of mayhem taking place in the chat here. I frankly think that the committee reports are wonderful. My own experience is great, but I really would be curious here in the moment, if you would just, if your device will allow you, and you're joining us not driving, please don't do this if you're driving, to share in the chat one way that your BEKI membership has enriched your life this past year. And we'll start to see these come in as we do already with connection, keeping a sense of community. Thank you, Miriam from downstairs. So I encourage you to maximize the chat or stretch it out, because these are really, as I thought would happen, outdoor services, beautiful, spiritual, safe community during moments of great change, hearing your own songs from the 70s, schmoozes, feeling connected, coming together to find a new rabbi. So I'm actually going to keep going as these come in because I'll be sharing a few things, but I really think that we all know what has made BEKI special this year from the experiences that we've individually had that don't make it into a committee report, but these really are wonderful chesed committee having a year that, and it was really needed, as it always is, but especially BRS for children, being outside in 32-degree weather, spiritual portal. So I will go on, but thank you all for starting in this really warm way. We will remember this year for quite a bit. Obviously, the pandemic experience that we have gone through, we're having this meeting on Zoom after all, but of course it was also a year of transition, and Yaron alluded to this. We said farewell to, of course, our rabbi of 28 years, John Day Tilson, and we aren't the community that we are in large part because of him and thanks to him, both the community as a community of 279 families, member units, but also individually, many people here, multiple generations of families represented here, being inspired by him, taught by him. And so it was, it's bittersweet tonight to have a rabbi we're all very excited about, and also to know that this year marked the departure of Rabbi John Jay. And also pictured here and important to recognize, of course, our Rabbi Carl Astor, who graciously filled in the interim over the winter and spring. And I think was the spirit with which he did that was beautifully summarized in his note in the bulletin in May, where he just so graciously, expressed appreciation for the connection he formed with the community for however much time he was in that role. And of course, we are thrilled that we are joined tonight and joined this year and in the years to come by Rabbi Woodward, by his wonderful family, for now virtually, intermittently in person, and then fully in person, which we all look forward to. And we have to, we would not be here but for, in this, a situation with our rabbi, but for the amazing search committee that was mentioned appropriately in the chat, for bringing us together to make this change together. These are our amazing co-chairs, Rachel and Carol, and the 7 members who supported them on this committee. We all know from the emails, from the focus groups, from the polls, from the phone calls they fielded, from the surveys, they were an incredible force. Many of us wondered how we would feel at this moment if we were to know there's going to be a new rabbi. And many may still have mixed feelings, of course, but I think we can probably just about all agree that the work of this committee has left us in an unbelievable place, both with our rabbi, but with a sense of togetherness and how this process went. And I appreciate the affirmation coming in the chat as I say that. I didn't realize I was going to start kind of a chorus, but keep it coming. So what else? Though it was not just about transition, it's about normalcy as well, right? The normalcy that came from our ritual committee in so many ways, and just the services that our rabbis, our lay leadership, Eva stepping in the coordinator role in the transition. And there were daily services on Zoom. There were in-person services when possible. And even when it didn't seem possible, there were in-person services. The ritual committee chaired by Rachel Gerber, as mentioned, also really did a great work this year documenting tasks that are involved in a ritual work that will provide a great sort of onboarding for Rabbi Woodward, and supported us in the time of transition. And we started to see great attendance at really, exciting Shabbatot with the Oppenheimer Bat Mitzvah, the honoring of the Cooper stocks, and of course, welcoming Rabbi Woodward. And we're really excited now that we're going to have an in-person minyan schedule starting next month. And of course, there are going to be some Zoom, Zoom will be available for those who prefer it. These photos were too good not to include. We will remember a lot about this year in these images of, snowbound services, parking lot services with, participation from Whaley Avenue, passing by vehicles, and of course our, virtual socially distant gatherings, including a masked shofar. I really challenge you to think what you possibly would have imagined that would be a depiction of if you were to see it years ago. But thank you to Jay for keeping us safe with a masked shofar over the high holidays. So we can't speak about services and Shabbat without our Kiddush committee, chaired by Ellen Cohen, which is back. That's the most important bullet at the top. They're back. And in the interim, there were ad hoc prep teams that sort of stepped up and made those first Kiddushes possible during the heart of the pandemic and the closure. Committees formed to clean and reorganize the kitchen. And now, as many of you know, and these pictures show, if you haven't been, this is what Kiddush looks like now. So you've got to come and see. It's just gourmet. I'm just kidding. They're slowly and safely working their way back up. But it is wonderful to be back and getting Kiddush going again safely outdoors, in the sun, and being all together. Now, when we are not physically all together, this year was a year of great programming. There were, led by Shoshana Zaks, dozens of virtual schmoozes, thanks to so many people on this call and not, who are in our membership, who contributed their knowledge of medicine and the arts and prayer and meditation and Jewish ecology and New Haven economic development and race and racial relations and social justice. There were film series, there was a chess match, there was comedy with virtual people laughing. It was just amazing. Shoshana, really brought us all together in amazing ways. This was, a great source of togetherness for us this year. And we are, again, starting to bring these back in person. There was a wonderful violin concert many of us enjoyed in the parking lot, or excuse me, in the courtyard. And so, again, we are sort of returning to a model where there was a lot that we learned, and it's exciting to be able to do virtual schmoozes and get people together, but also to do it schmooze in person. Now, BEKI has, this incredibly robust, as you know, Tikkun Olam committee, which this year was recognized, actually I'll start with the last bullet first, recognized by the Columbus House, one of the organizations we have partnered with for a really long time, with the John S. Martinez Community Service Award. If you haven't seen the video from the winter, it's really wonderful. There's a screenshot there of Leslie speaking in the video and Daryl and others. I think Cynthia speaks in the video, and it's a great honor for BEKI, but that's a real testament to the work of the committee, to members stepping up and being a part of partnerships like this. Another organization, of course, Abraham's Tent, could not participate this year, but it's testament to the long-lasting relationships that the community has. The committee continued to support the 2020 participants, who of course have not been at BEKI for months and months. BEKI also hosted a blood drive. I believe it was the end of the winter, beginning of the spring, and we're looking to get those going again with our, for now, sole chair of this committee, Steve Werlin. A follow-up that is great from Tikkun Olam is the youth committee, because so much of youth programming led either by Annie, and she gets her own bullet in a second, or Rebecca and Jennifer, our co-chairs, is around Tikkun Olam. And so there's pictures here of service activities that our USY youth were doing with CCA, local social services agency. But the top bullet here, and they wanted this number one, as they should, is the arrival of Annie Norman Schiff, the newest, before Rabbi Woodward, member of the BEKI staff, who is the Youth and Family Programming Director. You have likely seen her running between children's services on Shabbat or setting up amazing celebrations for holidays in the parking lot, or dropping things off in families' houses, but also appearing on Zoom with our Kadima youth, our USY. And there's numbers here of how many teens and preteens were participating in these events, which is great that this continued both virtually and in person. And our, we had even some virtual adaptations of great programming that we enjoy every year, like the Thanksgiving pie sale. Didn't seem safe at the time to make pies, but pie kits was the innovative spirit that that the youth committee and the youth within the shul are constantly showing. Speaking of youth, our BEKI Religious School, of course, with Principal Ina Silverman, mentioned above, the recipient of a gift from the Sisterhood, which is very exciting. The story of the year, right? They were adapting. They were being creative. The teachers adapting curriculum to a hybrid model with students in person, students remotely. And it comes through in their look ahead in the report to a return to kindergarten being back, to the parents' learning circle being back on Sundays, and others, field trips that were canceled this year getting to take place starting as soon as the fall. So there's great excitement there as well. Now, I've seen coming in the chat mentions of our other staff, and they get mentioned here. They could have gotten mentioned many other places, but an explicit call out here in our House and Safety and our, House and Safety and Security committees is the work not only of our co-chairs pictured here, Eric and Jay, House and Safety and Security respectively, but Peggy and Michael, who, could have been mentioned in many places and further down, but working so incredibly hard to keep BEKI safe, orderly, running, communicative, welcoming, and so on and so forth. But big news, for these two committees related to sort of our physical plant is so much replacement of doors, locks, new ramps, enhanced communications. BEKI is tidier, you may have noticed, a lot of cleaning of things in storage, and Rabbi Woodward will get to enjoy a bit of a renovated rabbi's office. I think it's like gold plated or something. I haven't seen it yet, but it's supposed to be, just ornate, only the best. No, thank you very much to Eric as our House Committee Chair, and the, Jay reports, a quiet year from a security perspective. And it's worth mentioning, of course, in this context, that we avoided, COVID outbreaks at BEKI, which is obviously a major component of our safety. A few additional committees to report. So the first, the graph on the right from the Finance and Income Development Committees is the end of year balance of our endowment, which approaches $4 million. As Steve was already talking about, this is a picture of financial health for the shul. He already mentioned the loan It's worth mentioning as well the new funds that were established for the endowment, including the Leora Liu Fund and the John J. Tilson Fund in honor of Rabbi Tilson. Murray noted in the income development report that we had a very successful annual appeal, which is great, especially for this year, over 117,000. And it was exciting that while it's a small share of that, non-member donations were almost $4,000, which is way, way more than past years. Maybe some of these people will become members, we'll see. So speaking, not yet speaking of members, coming up next, I believe, or a few next, I jumped the gun, but Chesed and publicity. So Rachel, our publicity chair, has helped get the word out about BEKI's happenings, what is going on. Of course, here, the story from the spring about the Raider Fund and the improvements to the library and the library collection, thanks to that fund, as well as, of course, the arrival of Rabbi Woodward, which was in the Jewish Ledger just, I believe, last week. And the Chesed Committee continued under Rob Ledick, the chair, delivering meals, delivering welcome baskets, a very, very important service mentioned in the chat as well. And our final committee pictured here it's the art committee, of course. Art, they're going to do their own beautiful slides. So thank you very much to our co-chairs, Helen and Cynthia, as well as their members, beautifully pictured here. A very, very full year for the art committee with a few things that can be highlighted. One in particular would be, there is new art in the library. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It is beautiful. And the library, the art committee did quite a bit of work to make this happen. We also thank the Levines for their donation of several pieces there. And also a great deal of work in collecting, cataloging, figuring out all of the art that, thanks so much to Michael, was both sort of found, organized, and we'll get to enjoy in future exhibitions. Speaking of which, I encourage you, both to just take stock of the exhibitions that are both on display, but also the ones that are coming. In the year to come, the art committee is going to go to 4 exhibitions, which is sort of the return to normal, another sign of that. And down below, do note you can contribute to the exhibition coming up for around the High Holidays. These are an High Holidays Ancestors exhibition, which is will be wonderful to line the BEKI hallways, opportunity for us to sort of look into our past. Now, I did preview our last graph, I believe, of members. The number of members in the community is at 279 member units, families or households. And listed here are the 8 member units that joined BEKI this year. This is also the first slide of names. I will not, for time, read the names, but I will allow you to read the names. And we are glad to see several of these members here joining us this evening, and many, many of them, of course, joining us and being extremely active. There are people you say, they're new members, they're already leading little services, leading big services, doing all kinds of activities. And so it is wonderful to continue adding members, and we hope for even more in the year to come. But I will, this is sort of the shul life cycle. Next is the sort of life cycle section where as we sort of round towards the close, we will talk about the first here, the B'nai Mitzvah. We had 4 in the past year, which was wonderful and very, very exciting. We look forward to more in the year to come. Of course, we know that we also lost members and want to take a moment here to remember and recognize them. And beyond our members whom we lost as well, there were loved ones of members lost in the past year, and we remember them as well. In the life cycle portion, though, we are pleased to be able to report 3 births from the past year of new members of BEKI. One of them is downstairs in my house. And 2 of them have their parents on this call as well. I guess all 3 of them actually do, but 2 others as well. So don't want to leave anyone out. But we also have, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 grandchildren members of BEKI, or grandchildren, making grandparents of BEKI members. Some pictured here. So this brings us sort of towards our close here of my portion of things, but I do need to end on a slide titled "Please," because throughout the committee reports were requests, invitations by committee chairs and committee members to the membership to find ways to contribute, to support. And so I'll read some of these and kind of go over them, but I hope you'll take a look. There were asks to join as participants for Daily Minion. There were asks to contribute to the High Holidays Ancestors exhibition, as I mentioned. Donna asked for, quote, new blood in the Finance Committee. It's going to be an important year for the Finance Committee, and new blood would be welcome. Jennifer and Rebecca on the Youth Committee are looking for a parent advisory committee, right? Or rather for new members for that, or for a USY liaison. Tamara is going to be putting continuing to put together a schedule for Rabbi Woodward and his family for meals on around Shabbat. Topics for speakers, schmoozes, ways for us to learn together, Kiddush preparation teams. That's a big one, right? They need more people. And of course, the Tikkun Olam committee continues its work. There are many ways that all of you on this are already very, very involved. There may be ways that there may be people who don't feel as involved, or there are things that they want to contribute. And so we hope really that you will take up these committee chairs on their invitation, their ask, in some cases, their pleas, that you join, that you raise a hand, that you email them, even if it isn't exactly what they asked for. If it's something that you are interested in, it can happen. It can happen through the committees. It can happen through the shul. And so on that note, I want to more or less close, not quite, more or less close, by asking one more chat question, which is, what is one way that you hope to enrich BEKI in the coming year? It has been a long presentation, so you may have forgotten that you were asked how BEKI enriched you. And so in the year to come, how will you enrich BEKI? This is, by the way, you don't need to pledge money here. That's not the goal. But, something the committee chairs wanted. I'm curious, what sparks people's contribution spirit? Ritual support, informal connections with people, new members, volunteering for Kiddush committee, multiple. Carol Bass has not had enough, working on another project of some sort. Take note, Yaron. Another music class and showing up. So we'll let these keep coming in as well. Obviously, thank you, all of you, for all that you do. Thank you personally. I didn't mention at the beginning, I've only joined BEKI about 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And we consider it an absolutely central part of our lives, our family. So, thank you for all that you do. And it actually is a great transition from these hand raising to transition to a special presentation to someone who always raised a hand and who the community wanted to recognize at a very special moment.
everything you do for the synagogue, not Hi, Noam. Thanks for everything you do for the synagogue, not just reading Torah and leading Torah and teaching others how to do it and leading all the services and being an usher and raising other people to usher, but also having been such a great role model for all the kids of your generation, including my daughter. And I thank you for everything that you've meant for the whole community. Having watched you grow up from when I used to babysit for you together with my daughter up till now, seeing you into young adulthood, it's just such a great pleasure and honor to have watched you become who you are becoming. And Yesher Koach, and may you continue to go from strength to strength.
Hi, Noam. It's really, really hard for me to imagine BEKI without you there. You've been an amazing role model, not just to the children and teens, but also to the adults in our community. You have such an incredibly rare combination of intelligence, sense of responsibility, seriousness of purpose, and great sense of humor, and being just so incredibly fun to be around. And so this isn't really goodbye, but just wishing you every good thing for the future. And with that, and with lots of love, I'll sign off for now.
Congratulations, Noam. Wishing you the best and thanking you for all your service over the past years. Take care.
Noam, I want to thank you for many years of service to BEKI. You have made sure that Shabbat services always run smoothly. You recruited people for Aliyot and read Torah beautifully. I realize you had a great deal of training, but you were more than competent and exceptionally conscientious. All of your efforts have been a huge help to BEKI. Joanne and I remember when you were born and have had the pleasure of watching you grow into a wonderful young man, a mensch whose company we've had the pleasure of enjoying. We wish you the best of everything in your future endeavors and your college years at Rensselaer. Toda Rabbah and Mazel Tov.
BEKI is an amazing place, and one of the amazing things we do is we have kids working as our shamashim. And Noam, you make the job look so easy. You have the intelligence to know exactly who is needed up on the bima and when. And you also make Torah reading look easy. During the pandemic, when we had services out in the parking lot in the summer in the blazing heat, you read Aliyah after Aliyah. None of that is easy. You're just a really amazing young man, and I wish you all the best in the years ahead.
Noam, I wanted to thank you very, very much for all that you have done for BEKI over the years. I saw you grow from a very cute young boy to a very capable, caring, compassionate, and capable young man. Your leadership over youth groups, your leadership as a shamash and in training the new shamashim, and mostly your capability to read Torah whenever we needed you, whenever you could read Torah, whether we asked you to in advance or right on the spot, will be sorely missed. We hope that you have great luck in college, which we don't doubt you will, and we very much hope that you come visit us very quickly and very often. Thank you again, and good luck on your way to college. So on behalf of BEKI, we made this award for Noam that reads to Noam, in recognition of your service to the BEKI community, your menschlichkeit, ritual skills, and mentoring are amazing gifts that will be sorely missed. Every best wish as you move on to the next chapter. Noam, thank you very much from all of us.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
And with that, we we get to close the meeting with some music, and then we will leave the chat. We will leave the chat open and the video open for anybody who wants to stay on and schmooze with the rest of the community. And thank you all very, very much for joining the annual meeting.
One, two, one,